In the bustling heart of a small town, where the morning sun cast long shadows across the cracked pavement of the bus stop, stood young Emily, a girl with a spirit as bright as the dawn but confined to a wheelchair due to a childhood accident that had left her legs unresponsive. She was no stranger to the stares and whispers that followed her like unwelcome companions, yet she held her head high, clutching her schoolbooks tightly as she waited for the bus that would carry her to another day of classes filled with dreams of becoming an artist. The air was crisp, carrying the scent of freshly brewed coffee from a nearby diner, and the distant hum of traffic provided a rhythmic backdrop to her thoughts. Emily's wheelchair gleamed slightly under the light, its wheels polished from daily use, a testament to her determination to navigate a world not always built for her. Around her, a few other students lingered, chatting idly about weekend plans, their laughter echoing lightly, oblivious to the quiet strength emanating from the girl in the chair. But lurking in the shadows of a nearby alley were a group of bullies, notorious in the school for their cruel antics, led by a tall boy named Jake, whose smirk revealed a heart hardened by his own insecurities. They had spotted Emily from afar, her vulnerability drawing them like moths to a flame, whispering among themselves about how easy it would be to make her the butt of their joke. As the bus approached in the distance, honking faintly, Jake signaled to his friends, and they sauntered over, their footsteps heavy and purposeful, casting dark silhouettes against the bright morning. Emily sensed their approach, her heart quickening, but she focused on the horizon, hoping they would pass by without incident. Yet, in a swift, heartless move, one of them extended a foot, tripping the wheel of her chair just as she adjusted her position, sending her tumbling forward onto the cold ground, her books scattering like fallen leaves in the wind. The pain shot through her arms as she caught herself, but it was the humiliation that stung deepest, tears welling in her eyes as laughter erupted from the bullies, their voices cruel and mocking, echoing around the stop like a cacophony of disdain. Onlookers gasped, some frozen in shock, others murmuring disapproval but too afraid to intervene, the scene unfolding in slow motion under the indifferent sky. Emily lay there for a moment, gathering her composure, her mind racing with a mix of anger and sadness, wondering why the world allowed such cruelty to persist unchecked. Little did she know, this act of malice would soon ripple outward, touching lives far beyond the bus stop, setting in motion a chain of events that would restore faith in humanity's capacity for kindness amidst adversity. The bullies high-fived each other, reveling in their perceived power, unaware that eyes were watching from afar, eyes belonging to those who would not stand idly by. As Emily struggled to right herself, a kind stranger from the diner rushed over, helping her back into her chair, whispering words of comfort that momentarily soothed her wounded pride. But the damage was done, the incident etched into the collective memory of the witnesses, who began to whisper about it, phones emerging to capture the aftermath, videos that would soon spread like wildfire across social media, igniting outrage and calls for justice in the digital ether. In that instant, the bus stop transformed from a mundane waiting spot into a stage for a profound lesson in empathy and retribution, where the weak would find unexpected allies in the most unlikely of places. The fall had been deliberate, calculated to maximize embarrassment, and as Emily dusted off her clothes, her cheeks flushed with a mix of rage and shame, the bullies circled around her, jeering loudly about how clumsy she was, their words slicing through the air like sharp blades. Jake, the ringleader, leaned in close, his breath hot and foul, taunting her about her disability, suggesting she didn't belong in public spaces, his friends egging him on with snickers and nods, forming a human barrier that prevented others from easily approaching. Emily's hands trembled as she gripped the arms of her wheelchair, her voice steady but soft as she told them to leave her alone, but they only laughed harder, one of them kicking at her scattered books, sending pages fluttering into the gutter. The bus arrived just then, its doors hissing open, but the driver, seeing the commotion, hesitated, calling out for the kids to disperse, his voice authoritative yet tinged with concern. A few passengers peered out the windows, murmuring among themselves, some recording the scene on their phones, capturing the raw ugliness of bullying in real time. Emily felt isolated, the world blurring through her tears, wondering if this was the price she paid for being different, her dreams of art school seeming distant and unattainable in that moment of vulnerability. Yet, even as the bullies reveled in their torment, a shift was occurring. One of the onlookers, a middle-aged woman waiting for her own ride, had dialed a friend who happened to be part of a local motorcycle club, describing the horror unfolding before her eyes. Word spread quickly through informal networks, from text messages to group chats, painting a vivid picture of the injustice at the bus stop. The bullies, sensing the growing attention, began to back off slightly, but not before Jake delivered one final insult, calling Emily a freak who should stay home, his words hanging heavy in the air like a storm cloud. As the bus finally pulled away without Emily, who was too shaken to board, she sat there, composing herself, unaware that her plight had already reached the ears of those who rode on two wheels, symbols of freedom and brotherhood. The morning light continued to brighten, but the atmosphere at the stop remained tense, with whispers of disapproval growing louder, seeds of change planted in the fertile ground of community outrage. Emily's resolve hardened. She would not let this define her, but little did she know, help was on its way, thundering down the roads in the form of leather-clad guardians ready to stand against the tide of cruelty. As the bullies sauntered away, high on their adrenaline rush, laughing and recounting their victory to each other, Emily remained at the bus stop, her wheelchair slightly askew from the tumble, her mind replaying the incident over and over, each loop amplifying the hurt. The kind stranger from earlier helped gather her books, pages now smudged with dirt, offering a tissue and words of encouragement, reminding her that not everyone was like those boys. Other bystanders began to approach tentatively, expressing sympathy, one even offering to drive her to school, but Emily politely declined, preferring to wait for the next bus, her independence a shield against further pity. The scene had drawn a small crowd now, people shaking their heads in disbelief, discussing how bullying had gotten out of hand in their town, sharing stories of similar incidents that had gone unpunished. Phones buzzed with notifications as videos of the tripping went viral locally, shared on social media platforms where comments poured in, ranging from outrage to calls for the school to intervene. Emily, though shaken, managed a weak smile for her helpers, thanking them quietly, her voice barely above a whisper, her heart heavy but unbroken. Meanwhile, across town at a garage where the local biker club gathered, the news arrived via a frantic call, the woman from the bus stop detailing the horror, her voice trembling with anger. The bikers, a group of rough-around-the-edges men and women who rode Harleys and lived by a code of loyalty and protection, listened intently, their faces hardening with resolve. Known in the community for their charity runs and anti-bullying campaigns, they had a soft spot for the underdog, many having faced their own hardships in life. The leader, a burly man named Tom with a beard that reached his chest and tattoos telling stories of battles won, slammed his fist on the table, declaring that this would not stand, rallying his crew to action. Whispers turned to roars as engines revved in anticipation, the sound of chrome and leather preparing for a ride that would change everything. Back at the bus stop, Emily finally boarded the next bus, her wheelchair secured, staring out the window at the receding scene, wondering if justice ever truly came for the voiceless. Word of the incident spread like wildfire through the town's digital veins, from Facebook groups to Twitter threads, with hashtags like #JusticeForEmily gaining traction, people sharing the video and tagging local authorities, demanding accountability for the bully's actions. Emily arrived at school late, wheeling through the hallways amidst curious glances, her classmates whispering about the morning's events, some offering support while others avoided her gaze, fearful of association. The principal, alerted by the online buzz, called her into the office, expressing concern and promising an investigation, but Emily knew from past experiences that such promises often faded into bureaucracy. Lunchtime brought more isolation as she sat alone in the cafeteria, picking at her food, her mind drifting to happier thoughts of painting landscapes that captured the beauty she saw in the world despite its ugliness. Unbeknownst to her, the biker club was mobilizing, 99 strong, donning their vests emblazoned with club patches, helmets secured, as they formed a convoy on the open road, the thunder of their engines announcing their intent to the sleepy town. Tom led the pack, his mind focused on teaching a lesson in respect, not through violence but through presence and solidarity. They had heard stories like this before, of the disabled being targeted, and it struck a chord deep within their collective soul, reminding them of their own vulnerabilities hidden beneath tough exteriors. As they rode, passers-by stopped to watch the spectacle, phones out to capture the impressive sight, wondering what had prompted such a massive turnout. Back at school, the bullies lounged in the yard, boasting about their deed, unaware that their actions had awakened a sleeping giant, one that would soon descend upon them with the force of righteousness. The bikers' journey to the school was marked by a sense of purpose, each rider reflecting on personal reasons for joining the cause. Some had disabled family members, others had been bullies themselves in youth and sought redemption. The roar of 99 motorcycles echoed through the streets, drawing crowds to windows and sidewalks, a moving testament to community spirit. Emily, finishing her classes, wheeled out to the bus stop again, dreading a repeat encounter, her heart pounding as she spotted the bullies lingering nearby, their smirks returning. But then, the distant rumble grew louder, vibrating the ground, causing heads to turn as the horizon filled with a sea of bikes, chrome glinting in the afternoon sun. The bullies paused, confusion etching their faces, as the convoy pulled up, engines idling with a low growl that commanded attention. Tom dismounted first, his imposing figure striding forward, flanked by his club, their presence alone enough to silence the taunts. He approached Emily gently, kneeling to her level, introducing himself and assuring her that she was not alone, that they had come because no one should endure such cruelty. With the bikers forming a protective circle around Emily, the bullies shrank back, their bravado evaporating under the weight of 99 stern gazes, whispers of regret beginning to surface among them. Tom addressed the group, his voice booming yet calm, explaining the impact of bullying, sharing stories from club members who had overcome similar adversities, turning the moment into an impromptu lesson on empathy. Emily's eyes widened in awe, touched by the unexpected support, tears of gratitude replacing those of earlier pain. The school staff emerged, drawn by the commotion, initially alarmed but soon understanding the peaceful intent, even inviting the bikers to speak to the student body about anti-bullying initiatives. As the sun dipped lower, the bikers shared snacks and stories with Emily and the gathered crowd, transforming the bus stop into a hub of positivity, laughter mingling with the scent of exhaust and leather. Jake, the lead bully, approached tentatively, prompted by his friend's nudges, offering a mumbled apology that, while awkward, marked the beginning of change. Emily accepted it graciously, her forgiveness a powerful example that softened even the toughest biker's heart. The event made local news, reporters arriving to capture the heartwarming scene, interviewing Tom about the club's mission and Emily about her resilience, spreading the message far and wide. Bonds formed that day, with bikers promising to escort Emily to school occasionally, ensuring her safety and boosting her confidence. In the days that followed, the school implemented stricter anti-bullying policies, inspired by the incident, while the bikers organized charity rides in Emily's honor, raising funds for accessibility improvements in the town. Emily's art flourished, her paintings now infused with themes of strength and unity, exhibited locally to acclaim.